I would like to dedicate my series to Chike, my great-grandfather, my grandfather, and all the lost people in society, um, all my family members, the white people who lost their lives in the Revolutionary War, Civil War, World War II, the mercenaries in Nigeria, of course the Igbos, ancient Egypt, of course Ethiopia, South Africa, the Zulus, um, the Fulanis who actually are good people, the good Muslims who don't side with the terrorists, and the terrorists who are trying to find God and are lost. Everybody, the black and Asian man, the black and brown, everybody, not necessarily in that order, Of course, the first thing I'd say is probably Chike first, Um, I love all my family members. And I think one of the greatest lessons that can be extracted from my video series is that really you have to take the time to learn your enemy and always remember where you're from while you do it. And don't take anything at face value. Don't take anything for granted. Don't let people say that you're overanalyzing something. You can never ask enough questions. Ask Socrates. You can never overanalyze something enough. Ask every revolutionary in history. What do you think they do when they're in their jail cell? What do you think they do, when they're making preparations for their speech? Overanalyzing, quote unquote. In a way, there's no such thing. What do you think science is? Science is analyzing the hell out of something. I'm trying to be polite about it, but okay. When you go through history, you can see that there's a lot of scum, there's a lot of good people, and I didn't mean to undermine the achievements of any of the peoples that I insulted. I'll address their arguments right now to prove my point. The whites might say something along the lines of, I said things in a very rude, disrespectful way, etc. The fact that I'm half white and the fact that most of the crime was done by white people and a lot of other things, I think, make it fair enough. It's not absolutely fair, but fair enough. The arguments from, we'll say, the Jews, who might feel like I unfairly blame them for all the problems in the world, I point out that they're occult, atheists, Satanists, really, who, they're atheists in the sense that they want you to believe that there's not a God, but they're really Satanists because they believe that it gives them power ultimately. So they're Satanists that push atheists and push occult ideas, sort of believe in both those things in a way. They're not completely dedicated to Satan. Part of them thinks maybe this isn't true. And, it's a mix of all of them. And, so, okay, then the Asians might feel like the martial art thing. I'm sure, the smarter Asians know that Asian grandmasters have come out with books saying something similar to what I'm saying. That really, it started in Africa, and that's how it was built. And the Arabs might think that they were in Egypt first. I would simply say, prove it. All the arts and sculptures and the names, Arabs don't have names like the ancient Egyptian names. Okay, the Greeks gave them names that suited the people. And they tried to play it off like we're kind of like them, and they were kind of like them because ancient Greece was more mixed than it is now as far as the skin tones. I mean, as far as the Greek people, they kind of bred with white people over the years and kind of interbred, try to be more white over the years to fit in. So when you look at everything, and consider everything, it would take a fool to think that the principles of martial arts, the people who study animals, don't come from the most diverse place. For one to defend themselves from nature, they need to learn the principles of Kung Fu. Period. What are they? Mindfulness. You have to understand where the animal is going to hide, what technique the animal is going to use, how you can counterattack, how you can kill it in one strike. Everything that goes into being a Kung Fu person, what stance to take. And what do you think people taught in their family? When a father is raising his son, what do you think he taught him to do? And on the highest level and the highest warrior castes and the highest level of societies, they were the warrior pharaohs. Because in their understanding of life, part of their profound understanding, like Confucius or something, was warfare. They weren't just great philosophers. Everything was mixed together. Science, religion, warfare. It was all the same thing. They named their units different god. The Ra unit, the Amun unit is going to sneak up on them, etc. You know? And they described things, even the stars, astrology, alchemy. It was all interconnected, integrated, and that is life. Kung Fu is life. So to say that the people who focused on their left foot forward didn't understand warfare is ridiculous. To say the people who gave you specific hieroglyphs in meta netter explaining in great detail how to smite and destroy Apep is ridiculous. The people who not only wrote things down but drew pictures and pictograph, etc., so you could understand it is ridiculous. To say that these aren't the people who started it all is ridiculous, I mean. And to say that the people who carved python heads thousands of years before the Europeans were acknowledged to be in existence, really, in Europe, didn't have a religion that involved all the foundations of Egypt thousands of years before the Europeans did is ridiculous. And to say that I'm racist for being upset after all the things that the white man, quote unquote, the people in charge, the Babylonian scum, have done to me is ridiculous. And at the end of the day, to say that my righteous indignation is some kind of abnormality, some kind of mental disorder, some kind of psychological disorder is also ridiculous. Because why not say the same thing to Bruce Lee? Why not say the same thing to Nat Turner, Malcolm X? To say that of my behavior, my specific behavior, my fears, quote unquote, which are not really fears, but awareness of the government, my anger, okay? What do you think Bruce Lee was like? What do you think Ojukwu was doing when he wasn't giving his speeches? You think when he was practicing for his speeches, he didn't stop every once in a while and say, you know what, I should just blankety blank blank blank. And these are the good people, those are the bad people. You think he didn't say all that stuff? You're kidding yourself if you're thinking that. If you think that any person at war didn't have their moments where their shirt was maybe a little bit loose and they're cussing out their enemies, then you're greatly kidding yourself. And if you think that warfare is not a part of human nature, then you've been kidding yourself so much that all these videos were in vain, especially this conclusion. Thank you. Fact of the matter is, San Jose was fine when I was banging Crip, on the south side. San Jose was fine when I was hanging out on Verde and at the parks. San Jose was fine when I was, contributing to the disenfranchisement of my people. San Jose was fine when I was taking it out on myself, getting drunk at the parks. San Jose was fine when I was leaving all the white girls alone and I wasn't political. But the moment I became a threat to the system of Babylon, which expresses itself as capitalism, which I'm sure the author of this book would agree, they started coming down on me. They didn't want to give me even the slightest bit of a fair shake that even the prisoner in the shoe gets. They didn't want to treat me fairly. They were fine when I was out there blued up in my chucks, banging and keeping my mouth shut about the New World Order and only telling a few people. They were fine when, I was drunk driving, not giving a shit, They was fine with all that. But the moment I became a political activist in a manner that would address the deeper ills that plague society, they came down on me like a ton, on top of a ton, on top of another ton of fucking bricks with jagged edges and shit. Yeah, that kind of scum, that kind of technique. They were fine when I was out there beating people up. They were fine when I was being a gangster. They were fine with all that. But the moment I show that I care about my people, and then I'm going to go out of my way to dedicate my life to saving everybody, now he's got to go here and there. The moment the circumstances of my life changed in a manner that was going to inevitably bring the scum down because of my talents, which they have downplayed my whole life. Even my mother saw it. My mother, when I was young, she used to constantly point out, that there's a bunch of white people that don't give black people a fair shake, to make a long story short, and that she would constantly go to school to make an effort, like she knows her son is more capable, etc., etc. You know, I don't think she really saw that. She saw that it works that way, but she didn't really see how complex and how well thought out this racism is. This institutional racism. It isn't just a few assholes here and there. It isn't just a few bad eggs. There's a lot of bad eggs, and they're spoiled, rotten to the core. Now, just in case you didn't hear me the first couple times, San Jose, Morgan Hill, Oakland, San Francisco. Oh, they were fine when I was blued up, drunk driving. Oh, they were fine when I was doing drive-bys and shooting out with people. They were fine with all that. But the moment I walked the straight and narrow, the moment I walked the path of God, all the alarms start going off and the demons start circumventing and coming into my life, trying to confound my point, trying to counterattack on behalf of the one who was cast out of heaven because he was a devil snake who would not bow down to the original image of God. Don't you make the same mistake. My viewers have no excuse. Even the Babylonian devils might have the slightest excuse because they didn't see my videos. But my viewers, be they cops, crooks, or just normal people, have no excuse. No excuse. Look at me. No excuse. Yeah. Thank you.